Good evening. My name is Randy Fernandez, and welcome to City Beat. City Beat is a show designed to inform and educate the residents of the city of Port Huron about the programs and activities that affect their everyday lives. Our topic today is Studio 1219, and my guests are Maureen Scallon, the building coordinator for Studio 1219, and from the Community Foundation of St. Clair County, Tara Russell. Maureen, Tara, welcome to City Beat.
Hello.
Tara, when I think of Studio 1219, it comes to mind Studio 54, the hot nightclub back in the 70s, before your time, of course, but during my time in the 70s back in New York. But we're not here to really talk about a nightclub, are we?
No, we're not, Randy. Studio 1219 is located at 1219 Military Street, and it is an art incubator which has come about from the Cool Cities Initiative that Jennifer Granholm started back in the year 2004. We were one of the first cities to receive a grant. We received $99,000. We were one of 12 cities, I believe, that did receive a grant that year. And we are considered a pilot project. So we purchased a building and are offering all kinds of artist functions, from open studios. We have classrooms, yoga. So we're covering all the different mediums. We're hoping to have a pottery studio, and we also have tenants in the building that are arts-related businesses, and we have worked out profit-sharing leases with these, or a fixed lease. And right now we have Blue Roo, who publishes the monthly publication of arts and culture in the Blue Water area. And we have Safe Harbor, who is a spiritual and inspirational bookstore, and they also have various items such as incense and CDs and such. And we have Tin Pan Alley, which is a vintage clothing and resale store. And we do have a lot of spaces open that Maureen can talk about here in a little bit. Mm-hmm. And no, there are no dance parties going on as of yet. We do have performance space. Stage One Productions is going to do a monthly stage play. I believe it's offered twice during the month on the same weekend. The first one will be in October. And that's about all we have for performances.
Third weekend of each month.
The third weekend of each month.
Well, let's go back a little bit. We're going to get into all that today about the tenants and who owns the building and how we came. But again, 1219 Military Street, correct? That's where the building's located, which is, again, I believe, across from the Dairy Queen downtown, and also next to Powers Diner. I want to give them a plug. They've been very good for the revitalization.
Yes, they have.
Great neighbors.
All that's kind of, you mentioned neighbors, Maureen. Let me touch on that. The Dairy Queen, the Powers, that was an old furniture store. I use the word revitalizing. We've got a big effort there with Jim Atchison revitalizing the south side of downtown. Do you feel that Studio 1219 adds to that revitalization with this art incubator project?
Absolutely. The building is fabulous. If you were in the building when it was a furniture store, you won't believe the difference when you come into the building. They maintained the original tin ceilings, and it's open and clean. There's an elevator in the building, so it's handicapped accessible on 3 levels. And
they've restored the facade back to the original.
What Terry mentioned, is that you bought this old furniture building. Can you tell me what were the parties involved in purchasing that? And you said $99,000. That's all that was used to fix it up, or were there other resources or sponsors that came forward to get the building up to where it is today?
Yes, there's actually been a lot of partners. We have public and private partnerships. When we first applied for the grant, we had many organizations involved, from the Atchison Foundation, the Community Foundation of St. Clair County, the City of Port Huron, the Downtown Development Authority. We even had the EDA and Main Street working with us at one point. A variety of individual artists, the creative classes we have liked to call them since then. And what happened was the Downtown Development Authority of City of Port Huron and the Community Foundation actually formed an organization, a nonprofit organization called the Port Huron Arts Incubator, Inc., and they are the owners of the building. And then the Atchison Foundation has actually matched the grant funds from the state of Michigan, $5 for every $1 that we have received in grant money in the renovations of the building, which have been extremely extensive and fabulous, as Maureen has said.
Yeah, just wonderful.
Well, it really has been. I've been in the building recently, and I was in it about a year ago, and it really is a transformation of, again, an older, again, a building that was used for like a furniture outlet or whatever, And again, you've taken the facade off, correct? And you can, if you're on the second floor, can see out over the Atchison project and the beautiful St. Clair River. Tell us a little more about, again, from a year ago Marine to now. Give me like a visual tour. If I walked in the building, it's even now, as I think both you and Tara mentioned, handicap accessible with an elevator. So a lot has transformed in the last year in a quick period of time. So give us that mental visual tour, if you would.
Well, when you come in the front door, there's the glass gallery out front and 2 sets of stairs taking you up into another level of galleries. In those 3 galleries is an organization called the Studio 1219 Artists Network. It's a co-op of artists that have local artists that have their artwork for sale. You can take the hallway back to one side, and then there's a couple of small rooms that are still available to be leased. And in the gallery, that's the South Gallery, when you take that back, that's where Safe Harbor Bookstore is. Just back from that would be where the bathrooms and the elevator are. We have dividing the 2 galleries. On the first floor is a stairway that takes you up to the second floor. And on the second floor we have 2 large galleries that's public space. Our yoga gallery and our yoga classes take place in the North Gallery. It's meeting space. You could grab your lunch and eat there. You could pop up an easel and paint up there. We have a deck out front on the second level. Next summer, you can look forward to chairs being out there, tables and chairs. We had 3 large windows opened up on the second floor that gives you a beautiful view of Desmond Landing, actually all the way over to Sarnia. Back off the yoga gallery, that's the North Gallery, you go down a couple steps into a large classroom and performing arts space. And we have a number of art classes available for adults and children, homeschoolers. We're organizing workshops. And then through the side door, we actually have the elevator is there, and then there's one big room to the back with a new window that's been added with a gorgeous view of Grace Church, one of our neighbors to the back, and that space is also available for lease.
Maureen, both of you have mentioned some tenants, and I want to break it down. I hear Blue Root, and I want you to explain what Blue Root is, because our audience might not know, and they're in the basement, correct?
They're in
so
the basement.
who is Blue Root, and what do they do, and how does Blue Root fit into the scheme of this art incubator concept?
Well, Blue Root is a local artist's paper. They have been working to help organize this art incubator, and they are an anchor in the building there. They publish once a month, and it's a free paper that you can pick up at coffee houses, the library, city buildings. It's located they're located free all over St. Clair County. They print artwork. You can submit artwork through email or by mail, I'm sure. Poetry, writing. It's a volunteer staff. Frank Nowak is the editor, and they work well together, and they put out a beautiful paper once a month.
Again, I've seen the paper when I at City Hall, and if I go to lunch at various establishments downtown, and they've really the last couple of editor's notes that I've read, they've given you a couple of pages really about Studio 1219. So they've really given you some positive press. I'm assuming positive free press. We want to keep harping on the free aspect of this. Is that correct?
They're a huge supporter of the building. And yes, they have given us, you can find information about Studio 1219 each month. We have 1 page in the paper of information. Actually, last month they gave us 2 pages. And so you'll find things like class schedules printed, offerings, special events that will take place in the building. Also in their paper, they critique restaurants across town.
Highlight artists.
So a lot of local participation there.
Okay. Tara, she mentioned a bookstore. Explain the owners of that, and this is like a Barnes & Noble, or what do we've got going on in there?
Well, Kathy and Mick Napolitan own the bookstore called Safe Harbor, and they are trying to emphasize like a spiritual well-being sort of store where you can come in and get any kind of books from holistic well-being,
self-help,
economic development, and visionary books about kind of like the creative class written by Richard Florida. was it? And that's kind of what sparked the whole Cool Cities initiative.
And they have Michigan books.
Michigan books, they have
and
children's
local,
books.
Local interest books.
Yeah, I believe you could find, or they would be able to get any book that you could get at Barnes & Noble at their store. And they have a little seating area so you can sit and read through some of their books if you'd like. And they have, like I said, a lot of other different...
They carry CDs
Right.
and incense
and candles and
So
soaps.
Maureen, are those the only two, or is there a third or a fourth one that are tenants now?
We have Tin Pan Alley. They should be opening up shortly, and that's going to be a vintage clothing store. You know, and they could have any number of things that are sort of older, maybe antique type things in their storefront.
Ladies, you mentioned a vintage clothing store, and you mentioned a small bookstore. And when the Main Street Port Huron hired a consultant through the state of Michigan to do a market study of what stores were needed downtown, I think in the top 5, one was a bookstore and one was a vintage clothing store. So it really seems like what you're trying to do in that building is what the people representing downtown and Main Street are hoping to do. And with this incubator concept, I'm assuming, Tara and Maureen, if they grow, then maybe they'll take over their own building downtown. Is that the premise behind the art incubator thing?
Yes, definitely. Because it's so hard in this economic state that we're in to be an arts-related business and to be successful. And I know, for example, Safe Harbor like lives for the day that they hope they can open up their own storefront in downtown Port Huron and have a larger store. But this is a way to help arts-related businesses get started and get on their feet, get a following of people coming in, and hopefully too with the whole art incubator concept, someone coming in to look at artwork will stop by Safe Harbor and
we'd like to
something
be able
from
to help.
there.
Right, we'd like to be able to help the artists get into the economy.
Exactly.
So we're hoping to offer things like marketing workshops and website building workshops, maybe learning how to photograph your own artwork so that you can get juried into an art show. Those are the kinds of things we hope to offer to the artists locally.
Now, I know you got some space available. So again, if you had a wish list, I've heard rumors that a couple photographers are maybe vying for some space. With what's left in the building, what are you hoping to attract to fill that building out? Because again, it's one thing that a number of people might run down and have a great idea, but what is your idea of a proper fit for Studio 1219?
Well, I do like the idea of a portrait photographer, and we do have a couple interested, and so hopefully that will happen. And if that happens, that only really leaves us with one more space available. And you know what, there could be a couple things. It could be a private artist with his own, with an individual's gallery. You know, it could be a potter that wants to use that space to produce.
We'd like to see someone come in that would offer like a tea shop or
That would be nice.
not necessarily a coffee house, because we have the Raven, which is a great coffee house in our area, and we don't want to compete, but some person to offer like a small variety of refreshments or food of some sort so that people will hang out more in the upstairs galleries. That's what we're hoping for there. Or maybe like a little novelty shop or something that would offer, with the Safe Harbor space, they don't have enough room to offer what the college students and the high school students would look for, such as tapestries and candles and hemp clothing and, you know, maybe more records. And there's a variety of other items that we'd like to attract into the store, and hopefully whether it's through a storefront or a tenant lease space, or even just to have areas within the gallery that would offer those. So,
Maureen, when we mentioned leases, are these I'm trying to get the proper word. I guess I'll use the words. What I've heard is they're very fair.
They are.
Explain what fair. I'm a struggling artist, or I'm a struggling potter. I'm watching the show. Boy, I've always dreamed, but I can't afford all the utility bills and everything. So I'm gonna come down, and I just want that little closet over here. But I'm worried about what the rents are going to be, or one month I might not make a whole lot of money. You're telling me that you're trying to help these people. So explain help.
Well, we have we're offering discounted space compared to the rest of Port Huron. It's discounted lease space. And then we have a couple of options with the lease where, you know, you could either pay a flat rate monthly or a percentage of your sales monthly. And we're not looking for a down payment or a deposit, and you don't have to pay utilities separately. So you just make the one payment to us, and again, we're just hoping to then teach and get you into the economy.
So, Chair, if I'm hearing that right, I could go possibly in there, and the first month or so, I don't make any money. I don't have to pay out any money either?
Correct. It's a profit-sharing lease, so you only pay a percentage. It's 15 or 20% of your gross income.
Seems too good to believe, but
Yes,
it's true, right,
It's very
ladies?
true.
Yep.
Yep. They are limited terms for the lease. Right now, a lot of our leases are going to expire at the end of this year, and we will re-sign leases next year. So leases range anywhere from 6 months to a year.
That's because it's an incubator. And so we really want you to get in and get your business started, and as it grows, be able to move out into a location and have a developed business.
And even if I'm not renting in there, can I show my art? I can rent it for a day or rent it for a couple of days. Is that possible?
Well, right now the way it's set up is that there's a membership. It's only a $10 membership to join the network, and then we look to have you volunteer in the building. We have committees set up, and you know, so the store is being run on a committee. The volunteers are taking care of each other and making sure that there's enough volunteers to run the gallery during all the store hours. And basically, once you're a member and you're volunteering, your artwork is on the wall for sale, and we take a percentage of a sale, a commission, and that's pretty much what that artist network is. It's something that's still being developed, and we're looking for a lot of people to participate and help make the decisions of how the organization is going to run.
Maureen, you've mentioned earlier in the show about yoga and some other things. What are some of the programs, and then I'm going to switch over, and what are some of the other things that are happening there, classes, or who's involved? What have we got going besides the permanent tenants, so to speak?
Well,
what are some of the class offerings and programs?
You know what, I'm very excited about the educational department that we're developing, and we really want people to know that we're offering a number of different art classes for all different levels, from basic drawing to portrait workshops, portrait drawing workshops. We have watercolor classes, mixed media classes, photography classes. We're offering a number of classes to homeschoolers, and we have a lot of after-school classes being offered to children and Saturday classes offered to children. We'll be also organizing more children's workshops, one-day activities. Let's see, we have yoga classes offered a number of different times during the week, from lunch hour to right after work, evening times, and we have a separate gallery for the yoga classes. Let's see. Performance, that's right. I'm going to start with actually the Artique Market. We're putting together a flea market.
Artique, now I've heard of antique, but Artique, is that a new word there?
We kind of made it up. We'd like to see artists and antique dealers, small antiques, come together and in our building and have sort of a flea market. We're looking to do that the second Saturday of each month. And you can rent a space, a 10 by 10 foot space for $35, and the flea market would be from like 8 to 2 in the afternoon. And so we're looking for vendors who might be interested in doing that. And that right now we're planning on doing that the second Saturday of each month through the spring. The third weekend of each month, we have Stage 1 Productions, which is the Barn Theater from Port Sanilac. They're coming down to Studio 1219 to perform through the winter months inside, up in our performing arts space. So October, November, and December, the plays have been set, and the November play would be a dinner theater. We're hoping to hook up with a local restaurant and offer a ticket price that would be dinner, and then come back to Studio 1219 for a performance.
So Tara, really, with everything that's going on, in a way, you could say that this building is trying to bring people of all types, diverse backgrounds, to our lovely downtown, specifically our lovely south end of downtown, and really is a compliment. You know, Powers Diner, we mentioned, put a huge fiscal amount of money in there. You've got Jim Atchison again down the hill with you know, the 40-some acres, you know, with the harbor side. You know, the Dairy Queen that's still there. I know behind it there's neighborhood improvements that you know, that are going on. It really, you're bringing a lot of people that might not have gone, or weren't going to stop in Port Huron, as you use the word, Tara. I think earlier, you want to make it a destination.
Yes, we do. We're hoping that people will come from all over, from Sarnia, from Detroit area. This is something that I don't believe is being done anywhere else that I'm familiar with all the different art mediums combined into one building. So we've had a lot, not only has different businesses in that area contributed in helping for the revitalization of the south side of Port Huron, but we've had a lot of private individuals. Marina's had so much help, and volunteers come in and are amazing with their time and energy and efforts. We've had donations from the Huron Physical Arts Center. Lori Sharon donated a ton of stuff for our art classes. Kitty tables now that we have for kids' classes, and all kinds of bins and supplies. We've had Bethany Bellinger, who at one time was running an Artique show, or I think it was just like Artique, or not Artique, I'm sorry, Antique.
Antique. There was an
antique place there in the south
word.
side. Yeah, I'm using our Artique word. Bethany Bellinger has donated the chairs that we needed because when we had this fabulous space, but we had nothing to put in the space. So we've had tons of donations. The city of Port Huron sent out some movers that went around for a whole day and picked up donations of tables and chairs and desks and hutches. And
when you walk through the building, actually just about everything in the building has been donated to us. The only thing that we've purchased were tables for the classroom. So when you do walk through the space, you'll just be amazed at how generous the community has been.
Now, how, Maureen, do I as an individual, whether it's an artist, is there a phone number, is there a website, or how do I, I've got an old beanbag chair that you might want. I mean, how do I go about getting that to you? Do I just stop in, or is it best to call?
Well, you could call, and our phone number is 984-ARTS.
Wow, how'd you get that?
Isn't that great? That's actually
984-ARTS.
ARTS, that's 2787. And we do have a website, and we have some volunteers that are helping us develop that website. That site is studio1219.com. So you could contact us at the building by either calling or emailing us, and our email addresses are at the website. And we'd love to take in a few more donations. We're still looking for things like art supplies, especially for the children's classes, paint, easels, brushes, things like that. We could even still use a little bit of furniture here and there. And they can contact us, and we'll get back to them, we'll talk with them and work out the details.
Now, Tara, besides the individual support, I know that you've worked hard on putting a sponsorship packet together. So is there a way that, you know, you could walk in and there's the Fernandez room, or there's the Scallon room, or there's the Russell room, so to speak? Explain a little bit about the sponsorship opportunities that some of our businesses might want to be made aware of.
yes, we also, we have different levels of sponsorship. The Atchison Foundation and the State of Michigan are at the top levels, and then the Community Foundation and the Downtown Development Authority of the City of Port Huron are the second levels. And then all the rest of the levels are open. You can sponsor a floor, an entire floor if you would like. You could sponsor a room or a gallery. We are just asking for friend sponsors. Any amount, any donation would be very helpful at this point. We, like Maureen was talking about with the leases, these tenants are only paying a fixed amount, but as a whole, the entire building, including the tenants and Maureen and I as coordinators of the building. We are a building committee that oversees the entire building and the operating budget. So between the lease spaces, the classroom offerings, the yoga studio, performance spaces, all the different offerings and activities and opportunities that are happening in the building, we combine and pool all that money together to pay for our monthly utilities. Because fortunately, the Port Huron Arts Incubator, Inc. is not charging us a mortgage payment or rent payment for the use of the building, but we are responsible to cover all the utilities, taxes, and insurance for the building. So it is very helpful if individuals want to help out in any way and don't have something to donate that is more tangible, like furniture or such. We would be more than happy to take in funds. And we have a wall, the staircase going up to the second floor, and we're going to make that our donor wall. And we will acknowledge everyone who has contributed their time and money.
Well, one thing about our community, we've been doing the show for a couple of years, and it seems like whenever, whether it's downtown or Main Street, or in this case Studio 1219, there always seems to be people as well as businesses and corporations that step forward to make things go for the betterment of our lovely city. Today I can see the passion that you have for this, and I think that's what an art incubator really needs is you know, artists are passionate people as well as potterists and others, but I can see again you're not getting paid a whole lot to do this. It's just something that you felt that the communities needed, that the artists have needed, and so far I think it's been a great success, and hopefully will continue to be a success as you grow. I wish you the best of luck, and thank you for being our guest today on City Beat.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's our show for today. We'll see you next week on another edition of City Beat.